You've set up home, which is the exact thing that God tells us not to do, is to not make this earth our home. Everyone just living life like tomorrow's going to be here, next year will be here. They're living for this short time on earth, which I think is insane.
And we somehow can block out those moments of prompting and conviction, and we end up justifying the things we want to do. You look at what you say you believe in eternity, and then you look at how you live your daily life, and you're going, it doesn't match up. These are the words of Christ. He says, if anyone tries to save his life here on earth, he goes, I promise you, you will lose your life. And he goes, and I promise you, if you lose your life for my sake, you'll find it.
Jesus says, look, I'm greater. These are greater riches. Just look at the other stuff. It's garbage compared to me. Trust me, it's so much better here. Man, we're talking about God who loved you so much, he gave his one and only Son on that cross.
This is the safety in the Christian life. That for me to live is Christ and to die is gain. Everything is fine in the end. And the battle now is trying not to save my life.
Could it be possible where something so outrageous would be the norm? Pretend this rope is a timeline of your existence.
And that's this picture Paul's painting here. He goes, man, one thing I do is I don't look behind me. I forget what's back there, and I'm just looking at this finish line. I'm just looking at this goal and going, man, I'm not going to get distracted. I'm not going to get distracted because what does the Bible teach? Don't you remember the story of Lot and his wife? Remember how God told Lot, I'm going to destroy the city, so start running, and don't look back. And so they're running, they're taking off, God's destroying everything. But then his wife, in her heart, there was something about the city that she still loved, and she just took a glance back, and God destroyed her right then. It's this whole idea of, no, look at the end. Don't look around. Don't look at all these other things that are appealing. You got to look to the end. And it says, in the New Testament, it says, remember what happened to Lot's wife. She looked back. Jesus talks about this in Luke chapter 9. He says it beautifully when some people wanted to follow him in Luke chapter 9. He gives the same idea. Luke 9 verse 57. He says this. Jesus is talking. He goes, and as they were going along the road, someone says to Jesus, I'll follow you wherever you go. And Jesus said to him, foxes have holes, birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. To another he said, follow me. But he said, Lord, let me first go and bury my father. And Jesus said to him, leave the dead to bury their own dead. As for you, go and proclaim the kingdom of God. Yet another said, I'll follow you, Lord, but first let me say farewell to those at my home. Jesus said to him, no one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God. That's harsh. Some of you guys think I'm harsh. Where do you think I got it? It's Jesus. They're going, come on, Jesus, let me just go bury my dad. He goes, no, let him bury himself. Let someone else bury him. We got more important things to do. Well, let me go say goodbye to those in my house real quick. No. He goes, don't you understand that anyone who starts this thing, if you put your hand to the plow and you look back, he goes, I don't want you. I didn't want Lot's wife. She started to run, but then there's some appeal back there. She still kind of liked the city. There's something about that, and maybe I'll look back just for a little bit. Maybe I can say, and he goes, no, you're not fit for the kingdom. See, those passages, man, think about that. See, here, there's so many things I want to look back at. There's so many things around me that don't have to do with the resurrection. There's a lot of things I like here in Simi Valley. There's a lot of things I like in Southern California. There's a lot of things about this home that I'm building for myself that I want to look back on. Do I want to give that up? Do I want to give that up? Well, that looks kind of appealing. Paul goes, man, I can't do that. I've got to keep looking forward. Because the moment I look back, I'm going to lose this race. Because I'm like a runner. All I think about is that finish line. All I think about is, man, one moment I'm going to see Jesus, and I'm going to spend my life preparing for that moment. I want to cross that line. I want to get my reward. It's all about that. He goes, I don't look behind me. I look forward. I forget. The one thing I do, I forget what's behind me, and I'm just looking to the end. I mean, how many of us really think that way? How many of us live that way? Looking to the end. You know what's interesting to me? This whole thing about forgetting what's behind and pressing on toward what's ahead. What does every counselor tell you to do? Look back. Let's go back to your past. What happened a few years ago? Oh yeah? Well then what happened when you were an adolescent? Let's talk about your early childhood. What happened there? Maybe some things in the womb. What happens? Was there distress? Did your mom have any? We're always going back, looking back, and Paul says, one thing I do, I forget what's back there. And I look forward. Is it true that there are certain things I do because of my past? Yeah. But there's a lot more that I do because of my future. You know, I do things, and we gotta focus on this, you guys. The world's going to keep making you look at your past, and we got to keep looking at the future. You look at your past, you're going to get depressed, and you're going to get stuck in your past. You look to your future and go, man, what is that moment going to be like? See, my actions, a lot of the things I do is because I'm thinking about my future, and I'm thinking about that moment when I see Jesus, because I realize that everything I do is going to bring either reward or regret. It really is. I've got an extra $1,000. Okay, on that day, that future, when I see Jesus, what is going to bring reward and what's going to bring regret? I could buy a lot of fun things for myself with that $1,000, but on that day, Paul's saying, I'm just looking at that day, going on that day, maybe I just give it to the poor, because on that day, I'll be rewarded for it, versus, we've all bought things we regret, right? You go, oh, that was a waste of money, that's a waste of money, that's a waste of money. Think about what we're going to say at the end when we stand before God. Are you going to regret the car you drove, regret the house you lived in, regret the clothes you wore, regret, just everything? What are you going to regret? How about your time and how you spent it? Are you going to go, oh, I'm so glad I watched 7,000 movies? Or are you going to regret, wow, I wasted all of that time down? It's about the future. Paul's going, man, what am I going to look forward to at the end? I'm going to bring an illustration that, this is like the first illustration I did. It was 20 years ago, but I can't think of a better way to explain it. I actually didn't use a rope back then. I used remember computer paper when it was all stuck together and it had the holes on the side that you had to peel off? Remember that? I remember getting a roll, and some of you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, which is crazy to me. But because that was the best, and it never worked right because of the rolling things. But I remember being a youth pastor, and I put that computer paper all the way around the room, and but I'm going to use a rope now because I can't find that computer paper. Imagine this rope, okay? Pretend this rope just goes on forever, okay? Just imagination. Pretend it goes around the world a few times. It doesn't. It ends at the rock. But let's just imagine this thing goes on forever. Now imagine that this rope is a timeline of your existence. You just exist forever. You see this red part? This would represent your time on earth. You've got a few short years here on earth, and then you've got all of eternity somewhere else. This is your existence. And what blows me away is some of you, all you think about is this red part. It's all you think about. You're consumed with this. You go, oh man, I can't wait till here. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to save so I can really enjoy this part right here. And you're consumed with that. And you're thinking, oh man, am I going to get to travel? Am I going to eat well? Am I going to do this during this part? And I'm like, are you kidding me? What about this? What about this? What about all this stuff? It's crazy to me because the Bible teaches that what I do during this little red part determines how I'm going to exist for millions and millions and millions of years forever. And so why would I spend this little red part trying to make myself as comfortable as possible, enjoying myself as much as I can? Paul says, look, I'm going to live my life for this mission. I'm going to spend my life, invest my life for this moment when I cross that finish line. See, I'm going to forget about all the stuff I could enjoy. And I'm not going to look around. I'm going to be like a runner, just looking at that moment when I face God, because when I face him, then I don't get this chance over again. We get one chance at this life on earth, and it can end at any second for any of us. We've got one chance at this, and then comes eternity. And I'm not going to be fooled. I'm not going to spend my life down here. See, people look at some of my decisions and go, oh, you're so stupid because that's going to really affect this. I go, no, you're stupid, because that's going to affect all of this. Man, I'm serious. I look at the way people live, and I go, wow, that is so crazy. You are so crazy. You're going to do that right now, just to enjoy right now, not even knowing if you have tomorrow, and you think that's smart and that I'm dumb? It doesn't make any sense. Paul goes, I'm not going to look around at all this stuff. And it's tempting. It's tempting to all of us. That's what I'm saying. Down here, it's crazy because everyone lives that way. Everyone lives for the red part. No one's thinking about the millions of years afterwards. It's just this crazy deception that we can't get out of our minds. And Paul goes, I'm not doing that. He goes, I keep my eyes on that. I keep my eyes on that finish line, and I'm going to forget what's behind me. I'm not looking around. I'm straining. He goes, I'm straining forward. I'm like stretching forward for that mark. I'm going to pass this thing. I'm going to live this out, and I'm going to face him. I'm going to come before the judges, and he's going to hand me that trophy. He goes, I'm going to get it. And I haven't gotten there yet. He goes, but you better believe I'm using every muscle, exerting every bit about me, because I'm going to pass that line well. And then he says, brothers, join in imitating me. He goes, imitate me. Do what I'm doing right now.
you.